Hey friends, I'm Diana with Serenity Links Coaching. It's time for another doodle video because doodle videos are fun, and fun makes learning about stuff we might not always like to hear about much more interesting. We're going to talk today about the power of self-care. Now don't you go putting on your I'm out of here running shoes or shutting off this video because you don't want to hear it. Because the truth is that self-care is an essential part of stress management. And in fact, it's impossible to effectively manage high-stress situations, especially traumatic stress situations, without it. I get it though. We all hear about self-care all the time. It's kind of become the new buzzword and we get it from all directions. Especially among those I work with, women who are parenting kids with complex trauma, or maybe they've even experienced trauma themselves. Just the mention of the word self-care can cause people to bristle. And there's an immediate response of, no, we're fine, we don't need it, we can't trust it, or I don't have time or resources for it, or if I take my foot off the gas, the world is going to collapse around me, or any number of other excuses we might throw at it. It's weird though, because it's something that we all know we should do, and probably even want to do, but there's so much resistance and so many reasons why not to do it that it just doesn't work. I want to submit to you today that all of those things that get in the way of actual self-care might actually be our own trauma talking, and we may or may not even realize it. So I want to put a different spin on things. You see, self-care is more than just chocolate or bubble baths or a day at the spa. And don't get me wrong, all of those things have their place and they can be an important part of a larger self-care plan. In fact, I'm actually a very big advocate of massage as it requires an appointment, it offers quiet downtime, it allows your nervous system to calm down and reset, and it involves a healthy dose of safe and positive touch. Unfortunately, when we're in chronic or traumatic stress situations, most of those things are missing in our day-to-day life, but are still essential for our own well-being. Let's pull back on things a bit though and talk about what self-care actually is. It's simply taking care of your own body, mind, and soul so that you have enough fuel in your tank to do all the things that you need to do. It's not a how-to list or doing one specific thing or another. It's about intentionally doing things that fuel your soul and help your own nervous system settle down after stressful events. It might be a walk in the park or taking a drive out in the country, exercise in front of your own TV, or honestly even just taking time to watch a really funny movie. But it's not just about creating downtime or a temporary break. It's also about taking care of all of your other needs, the mental, physical, emotional, social, and spiritual needs. It might be seeing your doctor or taking your meds, or eating healthy food, controlling your blood sugar, or doing other things that we know to be good for us. It might even be paying someone else to clean your house and take care of your yard if you can't keep up with it yourself. Perhaps most importantly, self-care might also look like resisting the urge to simply collapse and watch trash TV all night long, thus compromising sleep and allowing all the negative energy of the day to settle into your soul. Sadly, it is true that most women in the world today have been trained to believe that we have to be selfless and sacrifice ourselves for the good of someone else. Otherwise, we're being selfish. And that is simply not true. But no matter how many times this message goes out, I still see people who struggle to believe it or embrace it. And they still shoot off all kinds of excuses about why not to do it or why it won't work for them. It might simply be that it's a foreign concept, that they've never really had any good role models for and have never created any healthy habits around. Others might say they don't have time or energy for it, which is actually a great juxtaposition, for if we don't take time to take care of ourselves, we will end up spending much more time and resources being exhausted, sick, and recovering from being too exhausted and sick to take care of ourselves. Now about that notion that self-care is somehow selfish or sinful, I'm a good Christian woman, and I firmly believe that we have been commanded to love our neighbor as ourselves. Most of the time, that first part is actually pretty easy to do. Loving our neighbor, especially the ones that we like and are nice to us. And truthfully, with a little work, it's not all that hard to learn to love the ones we don't like. But what about that part about loving ourselves? Did you know that we've actually been commanded to love ourselves as much as we love our neighbor? We actually have a God-given duty and responsibility to love and care for ourselves so that we can genuinely love and care for our neighbors. I believe God never intended us to bleed ourselves out in order to rescue someone else, especially someone who may or may not even be interested in being rescued. In the grand scheme of things, self-care is about valuing yourself and giving yourself credit for all that you do. It's choosing to believe that you are worthy of your own time, resources, attention, and care. Many of us have been trained to simply give, and then give some more. And we often do it for people who take and take and take without giving anything back in return. And this creates a vicious and a voracious cycle where no one wins. Interrupting that pattern creates a different trajectory where boundaries and limits become our friends and we give ourselves permission to be human. By taking time to care for yourself, you become a model for healthy behavior and interactions. Anyone who's lived with traumatized children, or let's be honest, adults too, likely knows that trauma is contagious and it can infect and plague the whole family very, very quickly. What is also true is that healing is also contagious. It's through learning to love and care for ourselves in spite of our own wounds and in spite of what might be going on around us that we give our kids and our families and even ourselves the best shot at healing. Here's another fun fact. Did you know that resistance to self-care is also often a trauma response? It's our own fight or flight system kicking into gear and bucking the belief that we're worthy, we matter, that we can do this, and that taking care of ourselves will make a difference. Unfortunately, it's also often there because we've been devalued somewhere else along the way in our life. But when you stop to think about it, that line of thinking is never going to work. Trying to teach someone else or show them that they are loved and valued when we don't believe that we are is pretty much akin to running around on a hamster wheel and getting nowhere. That's what trauma does to us, though. It clouds our judgment and it skews our thinking. Sometimes it makes us believe that we're doing a lot better than we think we are, and it takes a catastrophic event to make us realize that we're not okay and we haven't been okay for quite some time. Intentional and repeated self-care, otherwise known as caring for all of your own needs, really is one of the most powerful ways to reduce toxic stress, take charge of difficult situations, and help reduce the impact of trauma. If any of this resonated with you, I invite you to join me on the journey of discovering how we turn this around and fix it. You can join me by checking out the links I've shared below, by subscribing to my YouTube channel, where I'll be sharing even more information about these topics, by leaving comments on my videos, social media posts, or even just responding to the emails you receive. And of course, if they seem like they fit you, take advantage of the offers I share. I look forward to walking this journey with you, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!